And good afternoon to everybody. Welcome back. Welcome back to me because I wasn't here last week. But welcome back to you all, and I hope you all had a very pleasant week on this slightly chilly, but then warm again, and then chilly again week in Pittsburgh. Weather in Pittsburgh, climate in Pittsburgh mean nothing. Anyway, wherever you are in the world and wherever you're tuning in from, welcome back. Lovely to see you all. Do say hello when you tune in. It's always nice to know you're out there. And we'll be starting in approximately 4 or 5 minutes because we will wait for the latecomers because we're nice people. It really is a very chilly morning here or afternoon here now. But at least it's not raining or snowing. So far. This will be the third last webinar of the year, and next week we have another special one, which will be concerning our new next play reading. The last one, the play reading of improbable fiction, really went incredibly well and was amazingly popular, and we were so pleased with that we're actually going to look at the play and see if we can find some way of bringing it back in another form. We may possibly do a radio version of it or something like that. But it was popular, and I'm really grateful to everybody who came along to support it. And our next one, I'll tell you more about that at the end of the webinar, will be coming up in a week's time or thereabouts. So we'll have a discussion on that next week. And then the following week, I will be doing the final webinar of the year. And with luck and COVID permitting and airlines permitting and everything else permitting, I'll be doing the last webinar of the year from Dublin in Ireland because I'm going to have a vacation. I'm going to have a vacation no matter who I have to kill. So that's what we're looking forward to as the end of the year comes closer. And where are we now? Yeah, we still got a couple of minutes to go. I shall have a sip of coffee. I hope you're all well. I hope you've all got coffee or something warm and wet and not too alcoholic at this early hour of the day. Because then again, if you're in Europe watching this, it's not that early, so you can have a glass of something. And also the holidays, the festive season is upon us. We should all be partaking in something a little refreshing and a little stimulating and something to warm the cockles of the heart. Anyway, what other news do I have for you? Oh, yes. We had in Pittsburgh and generally all over the place, we had the Big Give Day on, I think it was Tuesday. And I must say the generosity of our supporters never ceases to amaze me. That's not saying we can't do with more. We can always use more. But I must say this year, the generosity was surprising. And what was wonderful was the enormous number of relatively small donations. And that to me is... it's very heartwarming because, as I keep saying, it's the regular amount of smaller donations that help keep us operating, and people's, no matter how small your donation may be, it is important. And so please do consider. Just because Big Give Day is over doesn't mean you have to stop helping us out if you possibly can. And helping us out with a small donation on a reasonably regular basis is so important, because every donation that comes from individuals like yourself, anybody, thank you, our little sign goes up, any donation and every donation from individuals goes towards production. We do not spend that money. We don't spend your money on administration. We don't spend it on buying stamps. We don't pay it for paying electricity bills. We don't pay it, use it to pay the staff and the operation. All your donations are spent on the productions. So it is you who are literally funding the theatre we put on the stage. And no matter how small that donation may be, it really does matter because it accumulates. And if many, many people send us a relatively small donation, that adds up to something really significant and helps us to put on the plays that we present. And last time, As You Like It, which closed a week or so ago, every dime that was spent on that production came from you. And it looked great. The cast were wonderful. Some wonderful actors, both our regulars and a lot of new faces depicted. Thanks to you, those jobs were created. That theatre was created. That piece of art happened thanks to you. So please don't give up. Please keep considering. I can send another. You can go onto the website. And by the way, on the topic of the website, it is currently being reconstructed and redesigned. It's still operating, but a newer version of it is being designed and constructed at the moment. And I think that will go into operation on the 1st of January, which we hope will be easier to navigate, easier to use, and even easier to make a donation on. So all of those things are, as you may hear in the background, my dear associate is finding this quite hysterical because she's the one who's responsible for putting the new website together. So anyway, there you are. That's all the news I have for you. It is now 2:02, and latecomers. Hello, Joanne from Edgewood. They're all turning up now. James, there you are. And there's Grace in Dublin. I'll be in Dublin in 2 weeks, I hope. There's David in the UK. A somber Stratford-upon-Avon. Ah, yes, indeed. Today we mark the loss, and thank you for putting that up, David. We mark the loss of one of the most remarkable actors of his generation, Anthony Sher, who really was, and when I say that, he was one of the most remarkable actors, not only just of his generation, but also as a Shakespearean actor, as a classical actor of his generation. I saw him do so many things. His Richard III was extraordinary and remarkable. I still call, and I know others do, the Spider Richard. I saw his Cyrano de Bergerac, which was absolutely amazing. He is a sad, sad loss, and I have no doubt that Stratford-upon-Avon right now is in mourning. Another star in the theatrical firmament has stopped twinkling, and that is so sad. So thank you, David, for reminding me of that. Barry, hello from Troy Hill. Welcome to you. Is that a cat? Good Lord. So I'm going to make a start now. We'll assume that the latecomers are here, and off we go. Okay. This week, I and again, I'm going to preface this by you, as my usual saying, everything I tell you may be wrong. This is purely my opinion, just the way I look at things, the way I look at Shakespeare, the way I look at any plays. And we'll be talking next year a lot more about other plays other than Shakespeare. But we're rounding off the year with my favorite, which is, of course, Old Bill. This week, I put the title, Let Us Be Friends, which is an invitation that most of us in our lives are delighted to hear. When we find someone, when we meet someone, and we know that there is some kind of bond or click or relationship that is possible, that term, let us be friends, actually means a lot to us. And in Shakespeare, being Shakespeare, it is always a dangerous invitation. Why? Well, there is always a danger in friendship. What does friendship mean? It is unquestionably the closest form of human contact, possibly other than marriage, and marriage doesn't necessarily produce friendship. But anyway, friendship is one of those things that we truly value in life. A friend is someone who is dependable, true, honest, kind, reliable. Friendship in itself transcends time and space. We all know that situation where you have friends that you don't see for months or even years. And when you meet again, time is irrelevant. You pick it up where you left off. There's a kind of a bond in friendship that is so remarkable and unique and permanent. when that friendship is true. It is the true measure of any relationship. Or is it? Well, art will always question everything. That's the purpose of art. I'll give you an example. Star Trek. One of the most dangerous things to be in the Star Trek universe is to be a crew member who wears red. Now, anybody who has watched any of the Star Trek original, Next Generation, any of the other derivatives that have come off that, all know that when you see somebody on a mission with other regular characters and they're wearing a red shirt, you know they're going to die. It's a kind of subliminal signal now. You don't want to be a red shirt character. Now that character may be loyal, maybe a friend, maybe whatever. It doesn't matter. They're going to die. The way art works is to send a signal out to say, watch this guy, he's going to end up dead. Watch this woman, she's going to die. It's a kind of a code. It's a sort of simple system of awakening the audience to the possibility that tragedy is about to occur. Now, Shakespeare's plays are absolutely filled with rich examples of friendship. It's one of his structures, because it's one of the structures of humanity. It's the way we operate, the way we work. We love friendship. We trust in friendship. We need friendship. We need that close association with somebody else whom we can trust, in whom we, or upon whom we can rely. People without friends suffer the worst kind of loneliness. And friendship, when it is true, is a remarkable buttress against the world. So, as I say, Shakespeare, full of wonderful examples of friendship on all its levels. I mean, from Hamlet and Horatio, or Rosalind and Celia in As You Like It, these demonstrate friendship in all its richness and trust and affection. But in the world that Shakespeare lived in, friendship was also a dangerous relationship. The politics of Shakespeare's time, and remember, the politics of Shakespeare's time was fiercely tied up with religion. The politics and the religion of Shakespeare's time made friendship a real risk to life and limb. You had to choose your friends with great care. Oscar Wilde once said, one should choose one's enemies carefully. In Shakespeare's time, you had to choose your friends carefully as well. When I say Shakespeare's time, I'm talking about Elizabethan and Jacobean England, and indeed the whole of Tudor England, because this was a world, and I'll come to it again in a moment, as usual. This was a world in which governance was dependent on which dynasty was on the throne, and therefore civil war was rife. And civil war, not simply in terms of physical fighting, but in terms of political machinations, was rife. So choosing your friends, you needed to choose carefully. And sometimes you chose the wrong way, you'd end up dead. So let's take a little look at the risks of friendship that Shakespeare writes of. And these risks, which actually have existed since the dawn of politics, and they still exist today. The kind of dangers of being, dare I say, of the wrong party, of the wrong side, can be very, very risky. But let's start with, mention Hamlet. Hamlet gives us a wonderful example of what he values in a friend. Because in true friendship, a friendship or a friend in that sense is a person who asks nothing and gives all. If friendship is has a price tag on it, it's not friendship. Hamlet describes it. Horatio, he says, "Thou art e'en as just a man as ere my conversation coped withal." Nay, do not think I flatter. For what advancement may I hope from thee, that no revenue hast but thy good spirits to feed and clothe thee? Give me that man that is not passion's slave, and I will wear him in my heart's core, aye, in my heart of heart, as I do thee. In other words, I value your friendship because you ask nothing from me, and you have nothing to give me other than your trust, your goodness, your honesty. No revenue hath but thy good spirits. That's friendship. That is a declaration of true friendship. And it's the same kind of friendship, and I'll jump to As You Like It because we've done it recently, that there's a perfect demonstration of friendship in As You Like It, and it's the friendship between Celia and Rosalind. In a situation where one of them is safe and the other is at risk, it would be so easy for the person who's safe to stay safe. You have a situation where somebody is going to inherit everything and the other one has been disinherited. But Celia says to Rosalind, as a demonstration of friendship, you know my father hath no child but I, nor none is like to have. And truly, when he dies, thou shalt be his heir. For what he hath taken away from thy father perforce, I will render thee again in affection by mine honour. And when I break that oath, let me turn monster. Now that is a wonderful, simple statement, dedication of friendship. What I have and what I will inherit is false. It should belong to you, and it will come back to you when I have the opportunity to give it. That is a wonderful declaration of friendship. Shakespeare is very clever. He doesn't just say, well, they're good friends. He demonstrates it. And even when Rosalind doubts it, when her banishment has been confirmed, when she knows that she has to go or die, Celia's response is another mark of true friendship. Prithee be cheerful. Knowest thou not the Duke hath banished me his daughter? And Rosalind says, no, he hasn't. And Celia's response is, no, hath not. Rosalind then lacks the love which teaches thee and that thou and I are one. Shall we be sundered? Shall we part, sweet girl? No. Now here's the big thing. Let my father seek another heir. Let him find somebody else to leave it all to. It's not going to be me. Therefore, devise with me how we may fly, whither to go, and what to bear with us. And here's the kicker. And do not seek to take your change upon you, to bear your griefs yourself, and leave me out. For by this heaven, now at our sorrow's pale, say what thou canst, I'll go along with thee. Now that is a wonderful declaration of friendship, of true sisterly love, of whatever your problems are, they are now my problems. Wherever you have to go, I have to go with you. What you have to face up to, I will face up with you. I've got your back. I am with you. And I will give up everything that I could have because I'm your friend. Now, so Shakespeare is very capable of using his language, of using our language to describe what true friendship should be. He gives us a very clear, precise picture of what friendship should be, of what it should represent. Loyalty, a willingness to share in the difficulties of those who are our friends. But it's never that simple. Because friendship, or alleged friendship, is often a mechanism for personal gain or personal progress. And Shakespeare teaches us that friendship can be a tool or even a weapon. And trusting in friendship can lead to disaster. Now, that disaster may not be to do with being a villain or your alleged friend being a villain. You can have a situation where friendship with the wrong person or even with the right person can lead you astray or can lead to your demise. For instance, Romeo and Juliet. a very complex play. It's got so many themes going in it. No single production can ever encompass all the potential within that play. It is a remarkable play. But apart from being a love story, and apart from being a story about a family feud, or two families feuding, and all the other complexities within it, it is also a play about friendship. Friendship is a strong issue within the play. The friendship of Juliet and the nurse, the friendship of Romeo and the friar. These are really potent and profound investigations by Shakespeare into the relationship between the older and the younger, and how friendship can exist and does exist and should exist generationally. But there's another friendship, and that is the friendship of Romeo and Mercutio. These are true buddies. And it's a friendship that is strong and potent and funny and will cost the life of one of them. Mercutio dies because of and by the intervention of friendship. He fights with Tybalt in defense of his friend, and to be honest, because of his own ego. But it is the intervention of his friend Romeo that causes his death. They are fighting. He fights Tybalt. Tybalt's insulted Romeo. Romeo does nothing. Mercutio jumps in, sort of to defend his friend, because it's his friend who's been insulted. He also doesn't like Tybalt, so the ego does come into it. And they fight. And Romeo tries to stop the fight. And he tries to stop the fight by placing himself between the two. And because of that, Tybalt gets a stab at Mercutio. And there's Mercutio, bleeding. Not as deep as a well, nor wide as a church door, but it is enough, it will serve. Ask for me tomorrow, you will find me a grave man. I am peppered, I warrant, for this world. And even in his dying, he jokes, he shares the absurdity of the moment with his friend. But then comes the kicker. I was hurt under your arm. Your intervention caused my death. That friendship caused his death. It was the cause of the fight, and it was the cause of the result of the fight. Being friends brought about his death. I thought all for the best, says Romeo. Mercutio, they've made worms meat of me. So what, aside from all the other aspects of Romeo and Juliet, what is demonstrated here is that friendship is a risk. And that if you engage fully in friendship, if you engage totally in friendship, you put yourself at risk. You put yourself at risk, in this case, of dying. But in all cases, you put yourself at the risk that the friendship is not true. That the friendship can cause pain or hurt or suffering or whatever. It can also challenge, friendship can also challenge you in ways that may surprise you, because I'm going to use the example of Much Ado About Nothing, which is a delightful comedy on the nature of love and friendship, but it has a wonderfully savage twist in it. For those of you who know it, you know it. For those of you who don't, Benedict and Beatrice, throughout the play, are edging closer in their highly resistant love. It is a love story. It's a love story between two people who I think have reached the age where if they don't get it together now, they never will. And you want them to, and you want it to be good, and you want it to work, because they're two highly articulate, intelligent people. They're not some teenagers in love. These are mature people who are finding that they actually do love one another in spite of what they may say. But you also have another thing in it, which is a friendship between Benedict and Claudio. Two good friends. And it is going to be tested. That friendship is going to be tested by one simple line from Beatrice. Now, in the play, again, very simply, Claudio is in love with Hero, cousin of Beatrice. Hero is in love with Claudio. Sounds like a Shakespearean comedy. But Claudio is deceived by a very malicious plot about Hero. He's totally deceived and is convinced that Hero is unchaste before they marry. That, in other words, she's been doing it with somebody else. And he accuses her of this. And when he accuses her of this, she faints and then is believed to be dead. Now, being a comedy, she recovers and is proved innocent and everything is lovely. But at the point at which Benedict and Claudio believe Hero is dead, there is a conversation between Benedict and Beatrice. And it is about love and about loyalty and about friendship. And it runs, some of it. Benedict, surely I do believe your fair cousin is wrong. He is saying, yeah, I think it was wrong what he said. Beatrice, and how much might the man deserve of that would right her? Who would defend her? Benedict, is there any way to show such friendship? A very even way, but no such friend. May a man do it? It is a man's office, but not yours. You're Claudio's friend, therefore you can't put it right. Benedict goes on, but I do love nothing in the world so well as you. Is that not strange? It's as strange as the thing I know not. It were as possible for me to say I love nothing so well as you, but believe me not, and yet I lie not. I confess nothing, I do deny nothing. I am sorry for my cousin. In other words, don't talk to me about loving me right now, because I'm really in grief over my cousin who is dead because of your friend. Benedict responds, by my sword, Beatrice, thou lovest me. Beatrice, do not swear and eat it, and don't eat your words. Benedict, I will swear it. I'll swear by it that you love me, and I will make him eat it that says I love you not. Beatrice, will you not eat your word? With no sauce that can be devised for it, I protest I love thee. Beatrice, well then, God forgive me. Benedict, well, what offence, sweet Beatrice? Beatrice, you've stayed me in a happy hour. I was about to protest I loved you. Then do it with all your heart. Beatrice, I love you with so much of my heart that none is left to protest. Benedict, thrilled, wonderful. She's finally said it. She loves me. Fantastic. Benedict, come, bid me do anything for thee. Beatrice, kill Claudio. Pow! It's wonderful. It is a test of love against friendship. That Benedict's best mate, Claudio, and Beatrice, the woman he loves and wants. And now the test is put forward. Friendship is a risk, because to defend friendship, you may lose that which you love. To gain that which you love, you may have to sacrifice friendship. And that's the simple moral that Shakespeare is trying to demonstrate to us. With these two words, friendship and love are put to the test. Of course, being a comedy, all will, dare I say, all's well that ends well, and everyone will get married and be happy ever after, or relatively. But as an addition to that simple point, one of the things I do love is that at moments of climactic collision, Shakespeare seldom writes a speech. He will do it in the simplest moment, in the simplest way. When Julius Caesar gets that final stab, et tu, Brute, then falls Caesar. Not a big speech, nothing enormous, that simple, cold, brilliant, precise statement. And in Much Ado About Nothing, which is a delightful play, that is one of the truly great moments of theatre. Bid me do anything for you. Kill your friend. Wow. Friendship is dangerous. Things can get even worse, and they do in a lot of the other plays. For instance, one of the great and joyous friendships in the entire canon of Shakespeare is that of the fat knight Falstaff and the young Prince Hal. Now, if you know Henry IV, 1 and 2, if you know the Merry Wives of Windsor, you will know what Falstaff is. Falstaff, the great and joyous, jovial, wonderful, fat, egotistical, drunk kind of person we all like. And this relationship between young Prince Hal and fat knight Falstaff is one of the key elements in both the two parts of Henry IV. And it's based possibly on what is historically considered by some to be the distaste that Hal, the young prince, had for his father, King Henry IV. Now remember, King Henry IV had usurped the throne. Richard II was the rightful king. Henry Bolingbroke this is history, not just Shakespeare. Henry Bolingbroke, who had been in exile in France, came back, and Bolingbroke had been a great friend of Richard II. But he came back from his exile because he did something naughty, an exile which the king had reduced from 10 years to 4. But he came back with a very, very conservative Archbishop, Arundel, Archbishop of Canterbury, former Archbishop of Canterbury, and he fought against Richard and beat him and took the throne from him. But he was a usurper. Interestingly, the young Prince Henry, his son, had been held a hostage by Richard, but grew very fond of him. And Richard II and the future Henry V actually had a remarkably warm relationship, so much so that when Henry V came to the throne, historically true, he had Richard II's body disinterred from the abbey where they buried it quickly and brought to Westminster Abbey to the tomb that had been prepared for him. So Shakespeare quietly is indicating within this play the dislike that Prince Hal felt for his father. But he does it in a remarkable way. Falstaff, the heavy drinking, as I say, ever partying, excessively overbearing and overweight knight, becomes, certainly in his own mind, a father figure for Hal. And in Hal, who is, as we say, gleaning and spreading his wild oats throughout the land as a young prince with no interest in governance, it would appear. Falstaff is the perfect friend. And for Falstaff, Hal is the perfect friend. They appear, the friendship seems absolute. They seem to joy in each other's company. And certainly Falstaff is certain of Hal's friendship and of the possibility of his own advancement when the young Prince Hal becomes the future King Henry V. But Hal has other ideas. And in what I think is, when it comes, a very sad revelation. Because Shakespeare has shown you this wonderful friendship. And when alone, Hal denies it. When they've all gone off, Falstaff and Poins and all the rest of them have gone off, I know you all, and will a while uphold the unyoked of your idleness. Yet herein will I imitate the sun, who doth permit the base contagious clouds to smother up the beauty from the world, that when he pleases again to be himself, being wanted, he may be wondered at. If all the year were playing holiday, to sport would be as tedious as to work. I love that. If all the world were, lost my point. If all the world were playing holiday, to sport would be as tedious as to work. Hal, even the young Hal, realizes this is just a game. This isn't real life. But when they seldom come, they wished for come. So when this loose behavior I throw off and pay the debt I never promised, my reformation glittering o'er my fault shall show more goodly and attract more eyes than that which hath no foil to set it off. So I'll offend to make offence skill, redeeming time when men think least I will. I am going to use this time. I'm going to use this experience to learn about life. But when the moment comes that I have to take life by the horns, I will drop this. I will stop. So already in this apparent rich friendship, basically Hal is on a learning curve. And to him, where Falstaff considers himself a father figure and a mentor, as far as Hal is concerned, Falstaff is merely an object lesson. And when he comes to inherit the crown as Henry V, it's a very different Hal, now king, who speaks to Falstaff. Friendship, as he said in that previous speech, disappears like the morning mist. There he is proceeding from Westminster Abbey. He is now the king, and Falstaff on the street, my king, my Jove, I speak to thee, my heart. And Henry speaks in a complete, and it is a wonderful, absolute denial of friendship. It is cutting friendship off at the throat. I know thee not, old man. Fall to thy prayers. How ill white hairs become a fool and jester. I have long dreamed of such a man, so surfeit swelled, so old and so profane. But being awaked, I do despise my dream. Make less thy body hence, and more thy grace. Leave gormandizing, and know the grave does gape for thee thrice wider than for other men. Reply not to me with a fool-born jest. Presume not that I am the thing I was, for God doth know. So shall the world perceive that I have turned away my former self, so will I those who kept me company. Oh, it is such a put down. It is so cruel, because it is a denial not merely of the person, but of the friendship, of Falstaff's belief in the friendship, in the trust, in the honesty, in the probity of Hal's relationship to him. It is so cruel. And it is not merely cruel by saying, I don't want to know you anymore. It is added to by insult about his fatness, about his grotesqueness, about his drinking, about all of those things. A grave thrice times the width that other men would need. When thou dost hear that I have been, that I am as I have been, approach me, and thou shalt be as thou wast, the tutor and the feeder of my riots. But till then, I banish thee, on pain of death, as I have done with the rest of my misleaders, not to come near our person by 10 miles. I don't even want to see you. So Shakespeare is demonstrating quite brilliantly friendship, if it is only one-sided, friendship, if it is falsely understood, can cut you to the quick, can damage you so much. Be careful who you believe your friends are. And he demonstrates with Hal this ability to shift from a friendship relationship to a kingly relationship. From you are my mate to you are nobody. You are nothing to me. And it is the cruelest put down of any friendship. He goes on, the competence of life I will allow you, that lack the means enforce you to know evil. In other words, I'll give you just about enough money to survive on. And as we hear you do reform yourself, we will, according to your strengths and qualities, give you advancement. This is a lie, because he denies it as soon as Falstaff's gone. Hal's friendship was always worth nothing. Hal's friendship with Falstaff was always worth nothing to Hal, but as a mechanism to learn about life. In other words, this was using friendship for personal advancement, for personal gain, not financial, not in any way economic, but to understand the nature of people and how they behave. Falstaff was not a friend for Hal. Hal was not truly a friend for Falstaff, and yet the whole premise of that entire relationship through those two plays is based on the appearance of friendship. From that, the moral we get is not so much in Shakespeare, but in the Bible, in the book of Proverbs, and was very well understood by Shakespeare, and it was the simple one: put not thy trust in kings and princes. And for kings and princes, you can read anybody who uses you to seek advancement, who uses you to improve their position, who ends up superior and in authority over you because of all you have done for them. It's a wonderful object lesson on the nature of friendship and the cruelty of friendship, or the use of friendship. In Othello, trust in a friend, or an alleged friend, will lead to absolute tragedy. Now, we understand that Othello is, it's a play about three people. There are a lot of others in it, but it is fundamentally a play about three people. Two of the people will die tragically because of their absolute, complete, and total trust in a friend. In fact, one other person, seemingly insignificant, will die for the same reason. This is Iago. Iago is the most dangerous friend in the world. And Iago, one of the wonderful things about the character of Iago and the way that Shakespeare has composed it is that right until the final moment, Othello still believes he is a friend. Even when Iago's wife is telling him, it was Iago who did all this. And Othello is saying, what are you talking about? My friend, thy husband, my friend, honest Iago. And there is his dead wife beside him. And the evidence being poured out to him. And he still finds it so impossible to believe that he was betrayed by his friend. Now, Iago, interestingly, again, this is Shakespeare genius. This is why I think he's a genius. He's a genius because he does the thing that you don't expect, and yet it is absolutely plausible. Iago tells us directly from the beginning he hates the Moor. It's there in the very first scene of the play. It's there in his very first soliloquy. He tells us, the audience, he hates the Moor. And yet to Rodrigo, Desdemona, Michael Cassio, and of course to Othello, he pledges constantly absolute friendship and loyalty. He will always appear to be the true friend. For instance, in the famous drunken fight scene when Iago contrives to get Cassio drunk and then disappears just in time before a fight breaks out and Montano is wounded by Cassio. When he comes back, Montano asks him to tell the truth about Cassio, about what happened. I would rather have my tongue cut from my mouth than it should do offense to Michael Cassio. Yet I persuade myself to speak the truth shall nothing wrong him. This is wonderful, devious manipulation of friendship. It's quite brilliant because Iago doesn't lie. Not in this moment, and seldom throughout the play. On certain occasions, he lies big time. But here is a classic example of defending your friend by telling the truth and damning him in the process. This is an example of the manipulation of friendship in the minds of others. He does it to Othello. When he is not accusing Desdemona, but putting enough circumstantial evidence before him by telling the truth, apparently, he is condemning Desdemona in the mind of Othello, and Othello doesn't like it. If thou dost slander her and torture me, never pray more, abandon all remorse, for nothing canst thou to damnation add greater than that. If you are lying to me, you're going to hell. And Iago's response is that of a true and hurt friend. O grace, O heaven forgive me, to be direct and honest is not safe. I thank you for this profit, and from hence I love no friend, since love breeds such offence. How dare you question my friendship? How dare you call it lies? How dare, I'm just telling you what I have seen. I'm telling you what I know. I am speaking to you honestly, truthfully, as your friend. Always watch out for that. And when Othello has become convinced by circumstantial evidence that Desdemona has betrayed him and threatens to put an end to her, Iago makes a pledge. First of all, he wants to get rid of the alleged other man, Michael Cassio. And Iago makes a pledge. Witness, you ever-burning lights above, you elements that clip us round about. Witness that here Iago doth give up the execution of his wit, hands, heart to wronged Othello's service. I pledge myself to be your vassal. I will do whatever you ask out of friendship. Let him command, and to obey shall be in me remorse. What bloody business ever. Whatever you ask me to do, I will do it. And Othello responds, I greet thy love. For love read friendship. Within these 3 days, let me hear thee say that Cassio's not alive. It is exactly that same moment in this tragedy that we had in the comedy Much Ado About Nothing, Kill Claudio. Here we have, let me hear thee say that Cassio's not alive, to which Iago responds, my friend is dead. 'Tis done at your request. And that's superb. It is the superb use of the manipulation of friendship in order to destroy Othello and Desdemona, because he now knows that Othello will kill Desdemona. He knows that he can now kill Cassio in the way that Beatrice wanted Benedict to kill Claudio. He knows that he has permission to do it, and he has permission to do it. He knows these things will happen because he is trusted as a friend. Now, I can give examples from almost all of Shakespeare's plays about the way that friendship is either a bond that is unbreakable, as with, for instance, Celia and Rosalind, the kind of friendship that will survive everything, no matter how bad things get, no matter how awful it is. That friendship is absolute. And I can give an equal number of examples, and you can find them, of where friendship is used as a manipulative tool. It is used as a weapon. And without going into too much detail about it, one of my favorite examples of that is, again, one of Shakespeare's greatest creations that is not historically true, and that is Richard III. Now, Richard III was painted as a complete monster by Shakespeare. A monster who, from the very beginning, just like Iago, I hate them all, Richard III begins the play by saying, I'm an absolute bastard, and I'm going to destroy everybody that gets in my way, and you're going to love it. He is so wicked that we do love him. By the end of the play, when he's saying, a horse, my kingdom for a horse, we're all screaming, give the man a horse, because he is so attractive. And he is attractive in his genius for manipulation, for using his friends. He builds friendships throughout the play. He gains the trust of everybody, and he betrays every one of them. He is the ultimate monster. And in the particular instance, his right-hand man throughout the play, to a large extent, is Buckingham. Buckingham does everything for him. If somebody has to be removed, Buckingham will deal with it. If bad messages have to be sent, Buckingham will send it. No matter what happens, Buckingham is the man. He is the absolute hand of the king, if you, to quote Game of Thrones. He is the guy who will do the deeds. And he is the one person throughout the play you think, well, Richard can't do anything without him. That's the one. That's the true friend. That is the true friendship. That's the only friendship Richard truly has, but he's got Buckingham. But when somebody becomes all-powerful, when they achieve their goal, and all the way through the play, Richard is after one thing. He wants just one thing: power. And Buckingham has served him in that quest for power. But once you've got the power, once you've got the authority, one of the things you need to do is dispose of the evidence of how you got it. There is always somebody to be removed, somebody who knows too much, who knows how you did it, and that's Buckingham. And there is a glorious moment in the play when Richard is now the king. He's no longer the Duke of Gloucester, he is now King Richard III. He has got the power. He is now sitting on the throne with a big purple cushion under his bum. He is what he wanted to be. And Buckingham finally says, remember you promised me something. Can I have it now? And Richard ignores him. So he asks again. And Richard ignores him. And he asks again. And Richard says, by the way, did you know so-and-so is gone to the other side? He's because Henry Tudor was rumbling, who would eventually take the throne as Henry VII. Buckingham says, yeah, I heard that. Yeah, it's pretty bad. But he goes on, I do claim the gift, my due in promise, for which your honour and your faith is pawned. The earldom of Hereford and the movables, which you promised, I should possess. And Richard ignores him, turns to somebody else, turns to Stanley and says, by the way, look to your wife if she'll send the letters to Richmond. Buckingham, what says your highness to my just demand? And Richard ignores him. As I remember, Henry VI did promise that Richmond would be king when he was just a little peevish boy. Buckingham, my lord. Richard, how chance the prophet could not at that time have told me that I being by, that I should be king? Buckingham, my lord, your promise for the earldom. And Richard goes on and on about Richmond, who will be Henry VII, totally ignoring Buckingham. And Buckingham doesn't seem to get the point. My lord, Richard, what time is it? What's the clock? I am thus bold to put to your grace in mind of what you promised me. Yeah, but what is it o'clock? What time is it? Upon the stroke of 10. Well, let it strike. Buckingham, why let it strike? Because that, like a jack, thou keepest the stroke betwixt thy begging and my meditation. I am not in the giving vein today. This is not the time to be asking me to give you things. Well then, says Buckingham, resolve to me whether you will or not. Richard, thou troublest me, I am not in the vein, and walks off. And then Buckingham gets it. Is it even so? Rewards be my true service, with such deep contempt I made him king for this. Oh, let me think on Hastings and be gone, while my fearful head is on. And of course his head will go. But it is this one, and it is a beautifully composed scene because it is a demonstration of how wonderfully wicked Richard is. He never threatens. He never says, you're dead. He says, I want to think about that a lot more. Yes, we will consider this. Yes, I've changed my mind. We'll talk about it another time. Even at the very end, he does not deny the friendship, but Buckingham will die. Richard has said he will die in so many words. Now, friendship, in this sense, Friendship, any friendship, should be always a two-way street. But what Shakespeare demonstrates in an awful lot of these plays, in an awful lot of these relationships, play after play after play, and I've just picked a few examples, that friendship is the most betrayable of all emotions. It is easy to betray friendship. And the plays teaches this moral. And if you'll pardon the paraphrase of the adage, beware of friends bearing promises, because promises are not actualities. The future is undecidable. Bonds of friendship must be absolute in their time, so absolute that they will not change. Friendship not based on promises, but based on actions, based on fact, not dreams. And throughout the whole of the canon, you see these two examples of friendship that is based on action and friendship that is based on promises or dreams. And the friendships that are based on promises and dreams are based on nothing, because they are dreams, such stuff as dreams are made on. That's the lesson, I believe, that Shakespeare is using each time he brings up the bond of friendship. Examine it, see what it is made of. And when you look at what it is made of, you can then determine whether this is friendship or opportunism. But always beware of friends bearing promises. So, there you are. Next week, we're going to be having a discussion on the second of our Expand the Canon play series, the reading series. And it is a very wonderful play called Cottagers and Indians. And so next week, my friend and colleague and associate producer, Sharon McCune, will be hosting another discussion with the writer and the director to give you some background into why the play was written. It is written about a real circumstance. It is particularly fascinating. And we're reaching across our northern border into Canada with some of the participants of this particular piece. As you can see on screen, it will be, the readings will take place in Pittsburgh, Sunday, December 12th. Again, at 2 p.m, 7 p.m. They are free. If you're in the Pittsburgh region, please don't just turn up. Please go online and register. Last time we actually managed to exceed our original seating allocation by about 40%. So we're going to make the same allocation of seats this time as that, but we do need you to reserve a seat because of COVID and restrictions, and make sure there aren't too many people. All the usual things will apply. We do expect you to have evidence of vaccination. We do expect you to wear a mask, but we do hope you'll come and join us. It's going to be a very interesting play, very interesting reading, and next week will be a very interesting seminar. And apart from that, always remember one other little thing from me. It's never too late to donate. Thank you for being with me. You'll be seeing me again from Dublin, and next week, join us for Cottagers and Indians. Thanks a lot. Bye.